So, I titled this Rebuilding the Philadelphia Eagles Offense. I hate to tell you guys, because I know some of you are not in an optimistic mood, but there's reason to be optimistic right now. Some very important things are emerging this season, even in a 2-4-1 season. And I think it's time to talk about it. I think it's time to put this stuff under a focal point and just really dig down into it. So, let's get it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Steven Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. Today's topic. All right, let me just lay it all out for you guys. Offensive ranking. So we know the premise. You guys get measuring sticks. You got everything right in front of you. Before we talk about rebuilding this Philadelphia Eagles offense and what's happening. Yards per game. And I do this per game and not total yards, not anything like that, because some teams have played more games than other teams at this point in the season. So yards per game were 25th. In points per game were 24th. In passing yards per game were 24th. And in running yards per game were 15th. Add that all in with offensive turnovers, and we're a miserable, 29th. We're tied for 29th with 13 turnovers. That's a whole nother subject. We'll get into that in a different video, guys. All right. Context, though. Context matters in these things, right? All the injuries, everything we've had to endure this season, right? Blend that and mix that all in with the level of competition we have played, and I think it's getting slept on how good the teams are we just got through in terms of defensively, okay? We have played 5 top 10 defenses by yards per game. 5 top 10 defenses, yards per game. Okay? And I'm going to give you this in so many different ways, guys. But we've played Pittsburgh, we've played Baltimore, we've played Washington, we've played San Francisco, and we've played the Rams. And all 5 of them are in the top 10 in yards per game. Okay? In points per game, we've played 4 out of the top 10 defenses. Okay? And even if you guys, for my really analytical people, and just know Washington was 11th. So if you go by top 12, we played 5 out of the top 12. If we go by DVOA, for my really big defenses, or my analytics defensive people, right? So for you guys that want to go into the deep analytics and stuff, and you want to know the defense value over average, so DVOA, we've played 4 DVOA defenses, and let's be real. Of those 4, the Rams would have made, they're sitting at number 11. So, once again, if you filter by top 12, now you got 5. We've played really good competition, guys. So, I understand the points per game. I understand all those things, guys. But I also understand with a young roster that went through the gauntlet of what it went through. And I know that we only won 1 game out of that. I am fully aware, guys, that we are 1-4 against that competition. I get it. But, man, there's still reason for optimism. And I'm going to get to the first piece of this optimism and why I believe our future is so bright here in Philadelphia. So to begin with, all right, let me flip it over and let's talk about some of the aspects of our offense and where we're starting to find long-term pieces. All right, without further ado, let's get it. Let's talk about the big uglies on the offensive line, guys, because let's be real. I know what you guys are probably thinking. Some of you, I won't say everybody, but some of you are probably thinking, like, Steve, man, come on, that offensive line is leaking like a sieve right now. Like, are you serious? I get it. But we got to take everything into context and who's getting these reps, who's getting these snaps, how young they are, what we're getting to see from them, right? Look, the bottom line is there's 3 guys who've gotten a tremendous amount of playing time already this season who they're not graded out that well, but, man, they could become very important, vital pieces of the depth of this offensive line, guys. And I think we're learning a lot about them. And I think you're going to see these guys be able to add something to their game over the offseason. And I think next year we're going to be in a lot healthier place along the offensive line. Look, I wasn't high on all these guys. Nate Herbig I was not high on. I did not want to see Nate Herbig at right guard in week 1. I did not. I was like, where is Matt Pryor? Why are we playing Nate Herbig? This makes no sense. And to be honest with you, they're a little Jekyll and Hyde. I think Nate Herbig is a lot better at pass protecting than what Matt Pryor is, and I think Matt Pryor is a much more physical player in the running game than Nate Herbig. Keep this in mind about Nate Herbig, okay? His overall grade, which he's the highest of the three guys I'm going to name today on the offensive line. I'm using PFF grades, guys, and I know I'm not big on PFF either. I'm not big on any of those, because some of the things they do is arbitrary, but it is an impartial viewpoint to use, okay? 61.4. Nate Herbig was graded out as a 61.4, but in that total, just know that his pass protection has been as high as almost an 80 grading. Now that means his run protection has been as low as like a 45 or so. Most recently, I saw an article written in mid-September, pretty much after like week 1, where they graded out PSN, Philly Sports Network. They looked at his PFF scores, and they had him graded out as pass protection 77.4 and run blocking 49.3. No doubt Nate Herbig needs to add muscle to the frame. No doubt he needs to get stronger. All that's true, guys. There's just no way of denying that. 100% agree with you. With that said, we can see that this young man is only 22, guys. He is only 22 years old. He's a very young man. There's a reason why they wanted to protect Nate Herbig last season, and they wanted to keep him on the roster with Sua, Peta, and some of these guys. Nate Herbig has turned out to be quite a good story. He's got to add strength, guys, to get push in the running game. I don't disagree with that. There are times where you can watch this offensive line and we just do not get push. But I still think the future is there for Nate Herbig. I think he's shut some people up like myself to say, okay, we need to chill and give this kid at least 6, 7, 8 games here to show us development. And I think he's been slowly but surely showing that development. Number 2, Jordan Mailata. Look, I wasn't high on this kid. And let's just put things into perspective. Nate Herbig was an undrafted rookie free agent, and Jordan Mailata was a 7th rounder. Okay? Jordan Mailata, once again, 23-year-old. He's 23 years old. He's a youngin'. He's played 293 snaps on the season, right? Nate Herbig's played 505 snaps on the season. Look, he's not highly graded out. He's got a 60.6. But I do think that some of Jordan Mailata's grading is being affected by the fact that he gave up 3 sacks. But if you watch the film, yes, he gets beat. The one scramble play that we saw Wentz running for his life, and then he throws across his body, right? All that nonsense that happened. That was because Jordan Mailata got beat really bad, guys. You can't say that's why Carson threw that ball, but that's why Carson had to run for his life on that play. So there's improvement here. At the floor for Jordan Mailata at this point, right? Jordan Mailata's floor at this point is a really good backup swing tackle. And that's the floor. The ceiling being, a 10-year, 12-year starter for the Eagles. You know what I mean? Hey, he's answered a lot of questions. You got to give this young man a lot of credit because this is really these past 3 years are his only exposure to the game of football. And he had to do it at the NFL level against some of the greatest players in the world. It's a heck of a story, guys. Last but not least, on the offensive line, I want to talk about Jack Driscoll. 4th round pick. Yes, he was. I'm pretty sure Jack Driscoll was one of our compensatory picks that we used in the 4th round. He's 23 years old. He's played 160 snaps on the season. Recently, he's been dealing with a little bit of injury stuff himself. We're still kind of waiting for him to come back. But look, man, this kid was thrown into the lineup very early. He hadn't had a lot of time. He still lacks proper strength. He has a hard time sitting down and stopping those bull rushes because he just doesn't have the strength yet as a young kid. But look, they're going to have an offseason to fix these things. That's what I think people lose track of. He's graded horribly, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. PFF has him graded as a 52.6, probably because he's given up 3 sacks and only 160 snaps, right? Giving up 3 sacks with only 160 snaps played, you're going to get graded down pretty badly. But I still see talent in this young man. I still think there's a reason to be optimistic about the future because of Jack Driscoll, right? Because of Jordan Mailata, because of Nate Herbig. I'm excited because we've got 3 young answers on the O-line, I think. These are good depth pieces at minimal. We know that, hey, worst case scenario in the roof's falling in, as long as we got these 3 guys to kind of back up some positions, we're in good shape. We have way more answers right now than we had beginning the season, even though we are just riddled with injuries right now. No doubt about it. right, ladies and gents, let's talk future. What does the future hold for this Philadelphia Eagles offensive line? It's a great question. And look, I understand skepticism to say, Steve, I get what you're saying. A lot of guys getting a lot of playing time, but are we really getting production out of these guys? Can we really trust these guys going forward? I get it, guys. Let's just go over some final numbers. Let's talk about pressures on the year for Carson Wentz. In terms of total number of pressures, he's number one with 84. Keep in mind, though, guys, when you look at like passing attempts, he's also number 3 with 278. So obviously that's going to skew the total pressure numbers. Because when you look at pressure percentage, it's still high. But when you look at the percent of passes that have pressure on them, it's 26.2%, which is number 6 overall in the league. So to me, he's the 6th most pressured quarterback in the league. We're also playing, like I said, guys, we have a lot of guys playing a lot of important roles who are being pressed into action much sooner than they probably anticipated or thought. And we're learning a lot about these guys. And that leads us into the final discussion of today, which is, where do I think this roster shapes out? Let's take a look. We drew this out and said left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. How would I shape the future? Hey, look, man. Until Andre Dillard beats out Jordan Mailata in the future, I would play him at left tackle. He would be my starting left tackle, and Dillard would be my swing. I know it sucks we spent a first-round pick on Andre Dillard, and this dude could just be a swing tackle. But he's got to win it. He's got to win it to me. And he's got to win it in camp. He'll have a full offseason, hopefully, next season to do that. But if he can't beat Jordan Mailata out, then Jordan Mailata has to have that spot. Left guard. All right, if we look at left guard, it depends a lot on what happens with Jason Kelce, guys. But Isaac Seumalo is more than likely your starter. And then you got Nate Herbig basically kind of playing that backup role probably for both guard positions. Moving on over to center. Jason Kelce, if he stays healthy, if he wants to keep playing. I don't know when it's going to be Jason Kelce's last year. There's a more than good chance that this is the final season for Jason Kelce. But I don't know to be exact, guys. If he retires, then you have to have discussions about Isaac Seumalo moving over to center. Nate Herbig possibly playing center. Luke Juriga coming over and playing center. Right guard. Hey, man, if you can get a healthy Brandon Brooks on the field, he's one of the best offensive linemen flat out, period, in the NFL. He hasn't been healthy the last few years, though, guys. It's a concern. The backup to right guard still probably being Nate Herbig, to be quite honest. And then right tackle, you got Lane Johnson, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, too. You got a very dominant right side of the line if it's healthy. With Jack Driscoll, a pretty promising rookie out there who probably can take reps at right tackle and right guard. It does appear that the Eagles like him more as a tackle than a guard, though. Key reserves. I'll just mention some key reserves. You got Prince Tega. Prince Tega being mostly playing on the left side, so kind of the opposite of Jack Driscoll. They played both at Auburn, but Prince Tega normally played left tackle. He's been worked in a little bit at left guard. He probably could be a swing guard tackle if you needed him to, but he's a project. Like, this is a kid just like Jordan, Mailata, who needs a lot of reps. Luke Juriga being your center kind of prospect there, kind of guard. And then Sua Peta being that kind of left guard. He normally plays the left side of the field, but he really can't do much outside of a guard. So I don't know what they see there. If I were in control of things, personnel, would I keep addressing this line? You bet your butt I would. I would probably try to move Andre Dillard if I could. I don't know that the kid has trade value. That's the downside. But I would try to move him if someone wanted to try to take a flight on him. And I would try to draft, right? I think you can train Jack Driscoll the full offseason to be a swing tackle between the left and the right side. I would draft somewhere in the top, between rounds 2 to 4. I'd be out there searching for a tackle that I could develop. I would probably address the interior as well. And if Jason Kelce walks away, they have to make a big decision about center and the long-term prospects there. I would definitely keep addressing this in the draft, but I like the direction. I like the future. All right, y'all. This has been a really long video. I meant to do all of them, but I'm not. I'm going to come back and I'll hit you guys up tomorrow with a video about receivers, maybe tight ends. I'll let you guys take a guess at it. Running backs, we'll see. All right, y'all. Leave your comments down below. What do you think about this idea of rebuilding the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line? What do you think about it? Where do you think about these pieces? Where do you see them fitting? If Lane Johnson wasn't at right tackle, and he is at right tackle, and you have Jack Driscoll there too, I would say be weary of Mailata playing right tackle this week, because if you look at the long-term prospects, short-term prospect is trying to get your 5 best guys on the field. I get it. The long-term prospects could be a weird cop-out to get Andre Dillard back at left tackle and then maybe Mailata fighting as a right tackle / wing guard. Like, I just don't like the prospects of that, guys. I'm just keep an eye on it. I don't think that's happening, but in the back of my mind, it's there. All right, y'all, leave your comments down below. You know we end these videos. We do a little E-A-G-L-E-S. All right, y'all. Let's go eat.